I've seen quite a few Asylum movies up until this point, most of them bad, some of them absolute dog shit. But today we have an Asylum First, a fun bad dinosaur movie. Age of Dinosaurs has been recommended by a few of you guys in the comments, and it's also the first movie that I have reviewed that has been released before any of the Jurassic World movies. So instead of a boring knockoff trying to take advantage of a new Jurassic World movie, Age of Dinosaurs tries to do its own thing. It's a little chaotic at times, but there is a lot, and I do mean a lot, of dinosaur action. So it is in all regards in its own little echo chamber of shitty dinosaur movies. Welcome to a new episode of the Jurassic Exploitation. In this series, I'll be watching and rating all of the Jurassic Park ripoffs and bad dinosaur movies. Today, I'll be going over the first entertaining Asylum movie, Age of Dinosaurs. Age of Dinosaurs is directed by Joseph J. Lawson, who is actually more of a visual effects artist. He even did some visual effects work on The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. It is written by Hank Woon Jr., but he doesn't really have anything notable except for some cheap Asylum copies. Age of Dinosaurs was released back in 2013, and I actually vaguely remember watching the opening sequence. I think it's one of those movies I may have watched by accident when I was younger, but like I said, it's not just a boring ripoff, because it actually tries to do something fun. Age of Dinosaurs was definitely not a boring watch, but even with its short runtime, it still managed to kind of drag out. The last 20 minutes of this movie had me a little lost, not gonna lie. It still is a pretty fun movie, however. If you shut off your brain for a second and just watch it with no thoughts at all, it is probably more entertaining than Dominion. For the record, this is a joke, don't hate me. This movie was also released before any Jurassic World movie, and so it isn't just a boring knockoff movie, but more of a Sharknado type movie. It's just mindless action without much of a story and with lots of dinosaurs. But like Sharknado's references to Jaws, Age of Dinosaurs has a lot of Jurassic Park references. It also has its own dinosaur 911. Sir, a second Spinosaurus has hit the tower. Like I said, the plot of Age of Dinosaurs was really weird, but enough yapping, let's get into the meat and bones of this movie.
And we're going to South Dakota, and Oregon, and Washington, and Michigan, and then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House! Yeah!
The movie begins with a shot of a city, followed by a non-consensual logo reveal of the asylum, followed by a title card. We then go into this hospital/laboratory, I don't really know which of the two it is. Here we are met with the main supervisor of this research team, who is played by Jose Rosette. He has played in a whole lot of stuff, and I kid you not, he is also in a bunch of these weird romance mini TV shows. With these actors, they either are retired veterans, people who don't play in anything besides bad movies, or people who do a whole lot of these weird romance shows. There are even some guys here that I have covered in previous videos. You can't make this stuff up. It seems like we have gone full circle here. Let me give you a few examples of these shows, if you are not familiar with them. Okay, here we go. These are real shows, by the way. Made It to My Savage Alpha. What? Mistaken as His Mate. The Luna's Regret. What the hell? And Saving Nora. Nora the Virgin. This is really bad. This is actually just really bad. The last one kind of sounds like a Saving Private Ryan ripoff. Saving Virgin Nora. It's so bad. It's so bad. Maybe that's why Tom Hanks was on the Epstein flight logs. He just wanted to save Nora. He is also in a few Darman episodes, by the way, for all of you Darman enthusiasts out there. And also this thing. I don't even know what to make of that. Okay, on with the story. The supervisor has a conversation with this guy, who I assume is the main scientist for this little project. He is played by Joshua Michael Allen, I think. The main scientist is against the experiment, while the supervisor wants it to proceed. Eventually, the supervisor is just like, I'ma do my own thing, and activates the experiment with the press of a button. There's this whole sequence trying to create tension, but it's all just really bland. The technicians are played by Jennifer Robin Jacobs and Kenny V. Dolan. You can already guess what happens next. The experiment goes wrong. The dinosaur wakes up and has a classic Alien 3 moment. The dinosaurs, especially the Carnotaurs, are part bad CGI, but also part practical effects. I actually think this shot is pretty cool. It's just a shame that the Carnotaur's puppet looks like a puppet. One scientist knocks over a plate of equipment, which sets off the Carnotaurus like a sleeper agent, and he rips her head clean off. We also get to learn the name of the Carnotaurus. Larry.
Graham, bring in Larry.
They then gas the dinosaur in classic Asylum fashion. 3 out of the 4 Asylum movies I have watched so far have at least one scene where the dinosaur gets gassed. I don't know if this is because of Dino Crisis or if these writers are all secretly fans of a certain Austrian painter. Or it could just be a coincidence. We then zoom in on Larry, who is still alive, and it's followed by this weird science sequence. The Carnotaurus design, however, is pretty cool, but it's far from paleo accurate. I don't think they ever said it was a Carnotaurus, but still, if it is, it doesn't look like that at all. Carnotaurus had more of a sausage-like body along with teeny tiny forearms. They were also much bigger, up to 9 meters long or 30 feet for you Americans. But still, the design is pretty cool and we finally get to see a different dinosaur instead of raptors or rexes. Back in America, we follow these 2 characters, Gabe and his daughter Jade. Gabe is played by Treat Williams. He is in a bunch of older movies and was even nominated for 2 Emmys. Jade is played by Gillian Rose Reed, who has played in a few different movies and TV shows. Gabe and Jade go to a tech showcase together. On the way there, they have a whole bunch of exposition dumping. They then talk about college and stuff, to which Jade says, "Grandpa said that college creates liberals."
Grandpa says college creates liberals, and that it's for snobs.
Okay.
Goddamn sissy liberals ruin the colleges of today's society. Gosh darn liberals. After a long conversation, they arrive at the Genetti Sharp Center and they take a seat for the presentation. We then get a look at the CEO of this company, who is in a wheelchair. He has a conversation with the evil supervisor. The CEO is played by Ronnie Cox, who is a veteran of the movie industry. He has some major roles in Total Recall, RoboCop, Beverly Hills Cop, and many more. We get the big presentation, which allows the CEO to explain why they made these dinosaurs in the first place. Basically, this company does genetic research, as you can tell by the name, and they use it to heal people. Why they needed dinosaurs for this, that question still remains. But they showcase the dinosaurs anyway, and they have this little, ooh ah, that's how it always starts, but then later there's running and screaming moment.
Oh yeah, ooh ah, that's how it always starts. But then later there's running and screaming.
One of the guys even says, "We're gonna make a fortune with this place."
The museum is gonna make a fortune.
Wow. The CEO also just stands up out of his wheelchair, just to flex. They also didn't have to make the dinosaurs for any reason whatsoever, just for the love of the game, I guess. They also show the Ceratosaurus, which looks pretty good in my opinion, but the Ceratosaurus is agitated and doesn't want to go back in its cage. He tries to break the glass but doesn't succeed. They then gas the dinosaur again, but this time with success. They then say that they see intense activity in cage 4. The supervisor asks, "What's in 4? It's Larry."
Sir, we have elevated levels in holding cell 4.
What's in 4?
Larry.
Larry jumps from his cage and breaks the glass, wreaking havoc on the audience. All the dinosaurs escape, including the pteranodon, and they kill the guests. Jade had run away earlier and is now faced with a dinosaur. Her dad and another guy, who I think is her uncle, start looking for her. Gabe also finds an axe, which will come in handy later on. A whole SWAT team arrives, along with a bunch of police officers, but they don't really do much. We then get a kitchen scene, but in a lab. This is also the second time in a row where this happens. Jade finds her way inside of a weird box thingy, and the dinosaur bumps against it, unable to get in. A scene straight out of Jurassic Park. Gabe then shows up and just decapitates the dinosaur with an axe. Gabe is also unable to open the box, so he tries to find a way to shut off the power or something like that. We then switch to the panic room, where the CEO is really angry with the evil supervisor. Gabe then goes into an elevator with an explosive barrel, like we all do, and he comes across a dinosaur. Gabe climbs his way out and the elevator falls down and explodes. Gabe finds the CEO and the others. They all find another panic room which has a family inside it. They also say that the panic room doesn't open again until the lockdown is lifted. A dinosaur then appears behind them. The CEO just runs past it, no problem, but the scientist, not so lucky. He gets snatched by the dinosaur, which enables the evil supervisor and Gabe to escape. The evil supervisor also says, it's too late for him, come on.
It's too late for him, come on!
which is just stupid. We saw Gabe decapitate a dinosaur 5 minutes ago. Why doesn't he just do it again? It's really weird. A SWAT team then arrives and they have this weird slow motion shootout with a dinosaur. This guy opens the box and helps Jade get out of the building. The evil supervisor gets cornered by a dinosaur and gets eaten alive. We also get a shot of this blood bag or whatever it is. It says Dachshund on it, which has to be a Jurassic Park reference.
Dodgson! Dodgson! We've got Dodgson here! See, nobody cares. Nice hat.
It literally has the release date of the first Jurassic Park under it. Is this some kind of reference that I don't understand, or is it just straight up a reference to Jurassic Park? It also doesn't have anything to do with the movie because there is no character that is named Dachshund, so it has to be a reference to Jurassic Park. Right? We then go back to the presentation room and we see the Ceratosaurus eat a person whole. Police start shooting at it, but I assume that they didn't kill it because it makes its way outside. They have another shootout outside and the Ceratosaurus just calmly eats everyone. Let's talk about the Ceratosaurus design because it looks pretty cool. The color scheme of bluish tones along with the red stripe on his back, it looks pretty cool. There are two things that are wrong with it. First of all, Ceratosaurus wasn't that big, standing between 6 and 7 meters long. The second thing is the pronated wrists. Somewhere in time you all collectively decided that dinosaurs in the media had pronated wrists, which they hadn't. Most dinosaurs had their palms facing inwards instead of downwards. But that's about as far as my knowledge goes, so let's just continue with the rest of the movie. Gabe finds Jade outside, but the Ceratosaurus immediately notices them. We then have a classic Lost World dinosaur chasing car in city moment, as Jade and Gabe try to escape the Ceratosaurus. However, the car's fuel runs out and they have to escape on foot. But the guy from before steps in and tries to distract the Ceratosaurus. He literally says, "I'll distract it for as long as I can," and he immediately gets eaten by the Ceratosaurus. Jade and Gabe run away and try to escape the Ceratosaurus. They even have a mall chase scene, which is pretty cool. Gabe manages to evade the Ceratosaurus but gets separated from Jade. Police officers swarm the alley as they try to kill the Ceratosaurus. We then get a shot of this weird hatching chamber, or whatever you want to call it. I call it the dinosaur matrix. I think this is supposed to be a hatching chamber, so to speak, but these are all full-grown dinosaurs, so it's just kinda weird. We then have more chase sequences and even a Carnotaurus that came out of nowhere. The Ceratosaurus then destroys the news helicopter and throws it into a building. Also, the Ceratosaurus just stands in this alley for the rest of the movie. It literally does nothing else. It's really weird. Jade and this other guy are at a dead end. The other guy gets jumped and Jade runs away. They then have this weird, almost romantical moment as the dinosaur isn't able to get past the fence. The dinosaur puppet looks so goofy. I love it. She friend zones him and the Carnotaurus is absolutely heartbroken. The car knows before hose, I guess. Gabe finds Jade again as they are reunited yet again, but it's cut short by an angry Carnotaurus who is still salty about being friend zoned. They then run into this weird clothing store where they hide in the fitting rooms. We then switch to the CEO who is reminiscing about the good old times. He then returns to the hatching chamber where the dinosaurs are about to escape their hatching pods. There's also this one scientist running circles in the background. I just thought that was pretty funny. We go back to Gabe and Jade who both have zero survival instincts. They leave their stalls as soon as they stop hearing noises and then immediately run around in the store instead of leaving the store as soon as possible. Jade gets attacked in slow motion, and as soon as Gabe wants to shoot the Carnotaurus, there's a massive explosion. A military helicopter has shown up to the scene and attacks the Ceratosaurus. Jade and Gabe finally leave the store and look for weapons. A Carnotaurus tries to help them, but he gets a slap in the face from Gabe. Jade and Gabe both jump the Carnotaurus and kill the dinosaur. Jade then goes back to the store for no reason at all and gets met with another Carnotaurus, but Gabe steps in and attacks the Carnotaurus and they both flee to the roof. Back to the hatching chamber, the CEO wants to save the dinosaurs from dying, I think, but the scientists don't. They tell him to leave and to get to the chopper now.
We can save this one.
No, we can't. Please. You know I'm right. Get to the chopper now.
Nice. Then everything just collapses and all the dinosaurs roam free and make their way into the city. I love it. 3 dinosaur assets running into stock footage of Los Angeles. Absolute cinema. The CEO then finds Jade on the roof. The CEO gets out of the helicopter and helps Jade find Gabe. The dinosaur stampede finds its way into the alley and they wreak havoc. Jade and Gabe are reunited yet again and they make their way onto the roof. The CEO, who isn't used to walking, can't make his way back to the roof and instead decides to die in a heroic sacrifice. For no reason at all. The Ceratosaurus runs into the building and the building is about to collapse, which forces Jade and Gabe to make a run for the roof. We also get a shot of the CEO's last moments. He thinks about his final words and decides to go for rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
That's pretty tough, that's pretty cool. He then gets eaten by a Carnotaurus. Jade and Gabe find their way to the roof. The building is about to collapse and they are chased by a few Carnotaurus. Gabe jumps in slow motion and makes his way onto the helicopter. Jade also jumps. She grabs onto Gabe's hand but slips and falls to her death, only to get picked up by a Pteranodon. They chase the Pteranodon, who is nice enough to set her down on the Hollywood sign. The Pteranodon crashes the helicopter and the pilot dies in a really goofy way. And Gabe then lures the Pteranodon into the helicopter. However, the Pteranodon forgot to weigh himself on the scale this morning, as the helicopter creaks under his weight. Gabe then pushes the helicopter and it falls down, Jurassic Park 3 style. They then watch the destruction from afar and the credits roll.
I've just woke up in a fucking steaming mood, yeah? Because I live in a shithole! Do you know what I mean? Birmingham is a fucking shithole! I hate the fucking place!
This is by far the longest movie rundown that I've done. It's also the longest review that I've made so far. But I won't talk for much longer as to not make your attention spans too long. Age of Dinosaurs was pretty fun, but the last few sequences were just really tedious to sit through. The first half was pretty fun, but once the Ceratosaurus got stuck in the alley, the fun was kind of over. The dinosaurs look pretty good and I won't go into the story too much because you're not really here for the story. The story is original for its time, but it still feels incomplete and bare bones. And the characters, don't even get me started on the characters. Absolutely zero survival instinct. It's insane. Besides that, the movie is fine, especially for the asylum. I love the fact that they just did their own thing instead of trying to rip off anything existing. Yeah, it's not the most original movie, but at least they tried. Time for a quick summary. I'd give it like a 7 out of 10 based on entertainment. I wanted to give it a lower rating, but I think a 7 is fine. If you like dinosaurs, then you will have a pretty good time, but don't set your expectations too high because it still is a bad movie. It also gets to sit in B tier for now. And that about wraps it up for this video. I know the review part of this movie is kind of short, but I don't really have anything else to say about it. It's a pretty decent dinosaur B movie, especially compared to the other movies I have covered so far. But there are definitely moments where it feels like they are trying to drag out the movie instead of making it fun bad. It's a fun movie, but it's not that fun. The Jurassic Games is a good example on how to make a good B movie. But this, it just feels incomplete. It just feels really bare bones and it's not the most entertaining movie. However, I will give them credit because there is a lot of dinosaur action. So if that's your jam, maybe Age of Dinosaurs is an easy S tier for you. But not for me, because like I said, it just feels a little bland in my opinion. That's about it for this video. Thank you all for watching. If you have any suggestions, make sure to leave them in the comments and maybe I'll cover them in a future episode of The Jurassic Exploitation. Goodbye.